It was the same with Hinata, although she wanted acknowledgement from her family, but Naruto most of all. Both of these people wanted to change themselves, and they did. Such a miraculous change, and it's been a change for the better. These two have become better characters because of the way they've influenced each other. Naruto changed Hinata, yes, but Hinata herself wanted to change. He didn't make her change. She wanted to change herself, but he was a major influence in that. He helped get that going. And it was the same with Hinata's influence on Naruto. Naruto realised that he wasn't alone in how he felt. He wasn't alone in wanting acknowledgement. There was somebody else out there who also wanted that, who also desired that. So it was no wonder that he was angry at Neji. Because it was almost as if Neji's remarks, it was almost as if those two were linked, because even though Neji's remarks weren't directed at him, it was almost like he may as well have been directing it at him, because he cared about what Hinata was feeling. Nobody else did, but Naruto did. Also, in Naruto's battle against Kiba, everybody was watching him, and of course, as I said before, they were all surprised at how tough Naruto was, how strong he was, and how resolute he was. And it was the same with Hinata. Nobody expected her to be like that. There are claims that the parallels between Naruto and Hinata are due to the fact that Hinata can't think for herself because she's living through Naruto, and I think that's wrong. That's totally wrong. She's wanted to change herself from the beginning. Her decision to change herself was something that she made on her own. Naruto just inspired her, and there's nothing wrong with that. And her ninja way, being the same as Naruto's, being a sign that she can't think for herself, again, that couldn't be further from the truth. As I said before, Naruto is an inspiration to Hinata. He changed everything for her, and vice versa. Kishimoto is definitely going somewhere with this pairing. Why else would he put so many parallels between them? Why? Why else? Not just that, he's also shown that their bond goes deeper than their bond has the potential to go deeper. He's also shown other interesting elements, like when Naruto made the blood vow to defeat Neji. I've never seen him so angry and so determined to defeat somebody like that before, on behalf of somebody else, because of what they did to that person. Naruto, up until that point, had never done that, and he hasn't done that since. He hasn't vowed on somebody's blood to defeat somebody else. As in physically picking up the blood in his fingers with it dripping from his hand, his clenched fist, levelling them with a glare and saying, "I vow to win." I've never seen Naruto do that since. And that's significant because he did it for Hinata, somebody he'd barely known. And yet, he promised, and he delivered on that promise. I find that very interesting that Kishimoto got him to do that. If Naruto didn't care about Hinata, he wouldn't have done that. He really wouldn't have done that. He's a kind person, yes, but as you might have picked up throughout the story, his friends and his comrades are the most precious people to him. So, in doing so, he had acknowledged Hinata, and not just that, he'd vocalized how he felt about her. He not only recognized her, and this is another thing, he was the first person to recognize her for who she was, not for the failed Hyuga heiress who always gave up on things. No. He saw her for who she was, again. He didn't look through her, he looked at her. He saw her. Everyone else, as I said before, saw a girl who was timid and a shrinking violet and gave up, and he was a failure. But he saw her, he saw what she could be, and not just that, the person she was. So that's why these two are so similar. Another thing that made me fall in love with the pairing even more was the fact that we had a follow-up to that battle later on, which was when Naruto was feeling very down on himself, because he knew that the fight ahead was going to be very tough. And it could be said that he was wondering whether he could really keep that promise to Hinata, because he knew that Neji was strong, and he didn't want to fail Hinata. But this was also not just a fight for Hinata, but for himself, because, as I said before, he saw something in Hinata that resembled himself. He saw that they were one and the same. So he was not only putting Hinata's pride and honour on the line, but his own. And therefore, he did not want to fail either himself or her, especially her. So when Hinata told him that she looked upon him as a proud failure, somebody who knew true strength, as a proud failure, somebody who would keep on getting up, no matter how many times they were knocked down, that really boosted his confidence. Just like how Naruto boosted Hinata's confidence. Hinata returned the favour. They are both proud failures, because they both know, in Hinata's words, true strength, and that is to get up, no matter how many times you are knocked down, to try again, no matter how many mistakes you make. And because of who they are, they can both grow, they can both improve. Because of the fact that they are both rough diamonds, and they were. And because of the fact that they were both rough diamonds and still are, they still have limitless potential. With these two characters, the sky's the limit, and they will keep on getting stronger. Not much was seen of Hinata in Part 2, Shippuden. However, one of the most prominent NaruHina moments in Shippuden is, of course, the confession. This is where Kishimoto shows Hinata in all her glory. Shows how much she changed as a person, and how much she will change, and how much she will continue to change in the near future. And that is when Naruto, for the very first time, experienced what love was like, romantic love. Because up until that point, nobody had really said, "I love you." Nobody had vocalised it. They'd shown it, they'd never vocalised it. So it must have been such a shock for Naruto to hear it. And not just that, it must have been so amazing to hear something like that. I'm loved? She loves me? That must have been some of the thoughts that were going through Naruto's mind at that point. Because, as I said before, nobody loved him. So to know that somebody had loved him all along, even before people had acknowledged him, that must have been one of the most wonderful things to hear. And also, going back to Part 1 just briefly, when Hinata was battling Neji, there were times where I could see that even though Naruto was supporting her and believed that she could win and everyone else thought she couldn't, you could see that he was worried for her. He was worried sick. And there were times where it seemed that he couldn't bear to look, because there was this one panel where he was clutching the ointment that she'd given him previously to heal his wounds after his battle against Kiba, and he was clenching it in his fist so tightly that he was starting to fracture the container. And his eyes were clamped shut as if he couldn't watch and couldn't stand to hear her in pain. And it was very much the same for Hinata when she was watching him fight Neji, because for every single hit that Naruto took, and the cry and the groans of pain that he made, Hinata actually coughed up blood. It sounded like she was hacking her lung. It seemed that Hinata also felt the pain because she hacked up blood, and the amount of blood she hacked up increased, and the amount and the coughs racking her form also increased. So it was almost as if she felt the same pain Naruto did, thus portraying perhaps that their bond had become more than their bond had perhaps become spiritual, or even dare I say, a blood bond. I don't know whether it is coincidental or not, because Naruto, as I said before, picked up, physically swore on on Hinata's blood that he would win. It was almost as if, in doing so, at that point, they connected somehow, and so that link came to light when he fought Neji. However, getting back to part 2 with the confession, Naruto was instantly worried when she leapt onto the battlefield, because even though he himself was going to get captured, he was instantly worried about her. That's Naruto for you. He's forever putting everyone else first. However, with Hinata, he was so frantic. At least in the anime version, you could hear how frantic he was, and how anxious he was for her. He was afraid for her. He was terrified that she would get hurt. He didn't want her getting hurt on his watch, and that anxiety is also very much evident in the manga, with his words and his expressions. But then he saw how determined she was, and of course that struck him speechless when she told him that she was there of her own will, and that she wanted to protect him. Of course, at that point, Hinata's desires are revealed. That she wanted to walk, that she wanted to be with him, always by his side, walking side by side with him. And that she wasn't afraid to die protecting him, because she loved him. Anybody would be speechless with that, but with Naruto, that must have held quite the significance. And also, even though she engaged Pain in battle shortly after, so we didn't get to see him fully react. The way he reacted to Pain after he witnessed her being stabbed by him, that spoke volumes. I mean, the fact that he had the nerve, and it was almost as if Pain was doing it on purpose. Pain knew almost as if he was doing it to add, almost as if Pain was doing it to add extra insult to injury, to make him watch while somebody who loved him fell. That must have been so terrible to see, so awful, and painful as well. Naruto exploded, obviously, and became the Kyuubi, but the significance of that is he's never done that before. At least for any of the female characters.